I did it. I made an impulse purchase and I bought a lot of 23 vintage and antique watches online, and I probably got a decent deal on it because these are not the kinds of things people buy. Of course, this is either 25 extravagance or 25 extravagance towards bankruptcy, but that would be ridiculous to say the least. But it was delayed because of where I am located. Some routes of, of all of the couriers and postal service are fast, but not the directions where the good stuff comes from. These came from the East Coast, from a larger area, and when you wait, it's something like Jacqueline, voir midi, à sa porta. Like the French saying, when you to see it's noon, you look outside. And the saying goes back to the time when people in Europe and around the world could only look to outdoor sundials to tell time. And now we're looking and waiting, and without ado, we open up these watches. Now, we'll start with this one. There's 3 bundles here, and there's supposed to be 23 ticking vintage automatic watches or mechanicals. You can't say that they all have the automatic capability to them, but we will see what these are like. I will go through them, and I will tell you what I think in real time. This reminds me of buying gems from overseas, and they went to, some of these scrupulous people went to avoid customs, and it's like opening up drugs. This is domestic, and they're just trying to protect them. Now, these were not all. So the first one I have here is, a nice vintage Elgin. It has some weight to it. It's scratched, but there's no oxidation. The complication is missing its hand, but it's a nice piece. It winds and it ticks. You might be able to hear it. Elgin, this is from Elgin, Illinois, north of here. And so we have coming up soon a Timex. Now, Timexes have been made in England. So, interestingly, you could have, I had watches that I bought here for 25 revolutions. Well, this Timex has been around for a while. It's had more revolutions in it than a Cold War spy. And it just keeps on ticking. You'll notice like the Swiss mechanism watches, the American, they all have different sounds to them. And it's just the way they're constructed. Now, interestingly, when you have the Hamilton watch, this is one of the brands that was made by Belova to be economy. Now, some of them were quite luxury, and they discontinued them, and you could get the kind of quality or build and things that watches that were much more expensive because it was made by them but under a different brand. But you'll notice it still has their logo on it at the top. And so these are good. All 3 of these are ticking. They seem to be working. This one may not tick. Yeah, it's running. I got that Timex to run. So one of the things you can do when you get an old watch and it's not working is you normally never wind a watch backwards, but if you just slightly rock it back a little bit to get things running and smoothing, and you shake it aside, you can knock things out and you can regain some of the oil. The springs on these oils, they need to be re-oiled like every few years to every 10 years, or sometimes they just stop. So things can be perfectly fine inside. Now this is a CVP watch. It's running. And it actually looks very good. Or, very good condition. But the history, though, when you talk about the Timex and the Hamilton, though, is that the United States, the British had their Industrial Revolution, and it involved the Luddites. And one of the things that the British actually were first in, where they were before Switzerland was watch country, England was, and it got too expensive because the British were much more wealthier than the Swiss, who were basically farmers. And what happened is that Alexander Hamilton sent spies over to the United States because it became illegal. Not only did they make it a capital offense for the Luddites to destroy factory equipment, they made it a capital offense to remove trade secrets or machinery or anyone who was involved in that industry to leave the country. So Alexander Hamilton sent spies over to get information about the industries. And he was successful, and then that started our Industrial Revolution. So this is a Manson calendar, and it has a calendar. The calendar seems to be working, and yeah, it's a nice very entry level Swiss watch, but it's vintage, and this there's nothing that says China on this. In fact, it says Macau. So this is probably probably from the 70s or something like that. Maybe late 60s, possibly very limitedly. But so Hamilton went over there and brought it back. Interesting when you talk about that strap, which means that could have a Hong Kong movement, even though it says it's Swiss with a few parts, is that, which a lot of them do. Honestly, the Swiss parts now are made in China because of the cost. So they moved the watchmaking over to Switzerland, where it was possible to make it affordable. A lot like poor countries have always manufactured things for the wealthier countries because wealth is not done in manual labor, it's done with the mind. But the Chinese tried to make watches, and they were nothing but poor reproductions of the British ones, and they didn't succeed. Now, since then, they have gotten smarter and more tooled, and they innovated. And the Chinese now make decent watches. And this goes back to like the time just after the Revolutionary War. And that's the history of trade and intellectual theft. The United States stole intellectual secrets. This is a working Timex. It looks okay. Not the kind of thing I'm into, but I more prefer these lesser Swiss brands and stuff, because one of the things about these vintage watches is that as long as you keep them running, they're probably not going to lose value. And if you can get them at a good price, all watches, if you buy a brand new Rolex 10, 20 years from now, it's going to have a lot of the same issues as the younger watches and need service from time to time. With these, it's set. Now this is an older one, probably because it doesn't have a second hand, and it is ticking. And what is this? El Pianado by Meppa. And okay, so that's the name of the watch. And it's running. It doesn't have a second hand, and I can feel it. And it says Swiss made. It's a very thin watch, and it has a nice look to it, nice feel to the build. And honestly, this is actually a decent quality watch out of this thing. The way the case looks, it's made like a nicer, mid-range nicer watch. And so, that's the history behind it. We don't like to admit, in our countries, but everyone's done this, and it's always how it is. So the Swiss then may have their parts brought back to Switzerland to make it possible to make very nice luxury watches. Okay, is it moving? So this one, it may not, it's trying. So let me go try to see if I can go left. Let's see here. It's trying. To me, it sounds like the mechanism is struggling a little bit. Okay, now it's, will it run? All right, so it's trying to, it's starting to run a little bit. Just shake it back a little bit. I'm probably doing this more than I would recommend other people to do it, but it is now, it was stalled and now it's back up and running. It probably needs some oil and some minor service. Whether I want to do that with an old Timex depends on what's going on with it. As far as vans, you can get them in bulk. Let's open up the next ones and let's see what else is in store here as we go into this. And if we need to, we can break into part 2. You have a noise in the background. It's the dog has discovered my Korean barbecue that I bought for a family member that was here. The leftovers, and is eating them. Okay, this is an older looking Timex. Will it run now? So I just wound it 2 revolutions. This one, I think I can get it to go, but it's going to need some more work. It has a nice look to it. It looks like a lot of the older British watches that were just post-pocket watch era. This is the way the classic look of the hand and the face. Okay, this one, the watch is loose inside of it. Which means that there's probably some combination of some dirt and some wear inside of it that needs to be worked. But let's see if we can get it running. Oh yes, we can get it running. And it's an Ulster. It's only a 17 jewel watch, but you know, my feeling is this will work out and clean up nicely. You see it's running. So yeah. We have here a Vanta Ace or Vantas. It's a 17 jewel watch. Yeah, it wanted to run, so it wanted to run. It started ticking even when I picked it up initially. And it's running. It's a very, this one just looks like it needs to be carefully cleaned, and the scratches polished off of the face. And this would look, not that bad for its age at all. Most of this is just grime. Some people like that. You can tell that something has age. This is a Waltham. This one doesn't have a second hand, and I'm going to say this is probably from maybe the late 70s. If it's older than that, and it's running. So yeah, so that's not bad, and it does have a nice color to it. So they're just competing, old men deal with these. Right, this is another one. This is a Waltham. This is a men's watch. See if it runs. This one I really hope runs, because this is, I can tell that this is not worn off. This is just smuts by the dimension of it. Okay, so this is older, so it doesn't have a second hand. Oh yes, it's running. Let me see if you can hear that. All right. It's a nice watch, for sure. That one I might actually put into my garage, the ones that I seldomly wear. They'll get over it in a second. This one, if it runs, would be really nice. I think this is old, but not like 1930s old, like maybe 1950s. And this is a West Clocks, and it has one complication. and we will see, if it runs. Oh yeah, it's clicking like a champion. So, and then this one, this is a Herlin. It's another Swiss, like a lot of these. Probably over half of these have been Swiss so far, at least. We're not clicking. We're not. It's the neighbors. They don't like someone. You're not going to talk them out of it. They like most people, but they don't like some people. Sometimes it's for good reasons. They smell drugs sometimes. They're not even canines. They're just little dogs. Hey, get down. Get down. Scare them off. Get down. Tapiche! Down! Now! Down! So, yeah. Well, the show must go on, and the clock's ticking. It's just cardboard. It's like a Nerf thing. Now he's down. Will it turn? I hope this one does. It's kind of stuck. I'll play with it later. I think it will turn. It looks very clean. You know, this was supposed to all be ticking. Some of them are struggling, but they're older, so anything can happen. But these fundamentals I feel like are really good in these. This is just another one. This is a very small mechanism, which there's some brands like that are women's that were before the 70s. And they're extremely expensive, like the Queen used to wear one of them. And there's just very small sized watches, mechanism-wise. And I had a Cartier that was we had around, it was my grandmother's, and it had one that was built from them. And it was a tank-style bracelet watch. It was hidden. And they're beautiful things. This is Swiss made. It's lower quality, and it has a complication. It wants to run. You can hear it. There's so many others ticking now, it's hard for me to tell. But I hope I can get this one running. Yeah, this is probably a very nice watch. I think this is mostly Swiss. Never do this. Yeah, you can see it. That's a complication. And it's just a cardinal. It's a nice, vintage Swiss thing. Now we're going to get to the third bundle. The thing is the summit history and the development of these, and the older ones, they have a unique thing to them in the way you used to make things back then. We're going, like with the history of manufacturing, with the technology, we're going to go to fewer and fewer physical things, because more and more things have been consolidated. So over time, you're going to have fewer and fewer physically produced things. But the things that were produced in a way that you can't easily mimic today, they hold a unique type of value that things will never hold again. This is a nice brooch watch, and we're going to a necklace pendant watch. We're going to see if it. Yeah, it's kind of running. It just needs some, I think it needs a little bit of work. But this will run fine. Des, I'm having a hard time reading the thing, but this has Marcasites in it, and it says Disney. But it has a Swiss movement apparently, and the chain though and the metal don't seem to be of any kind of significant value, I don't think. So I'm gonna guess that this is a vintage catch. This is just a dumb, well not dumb, but it's just a vintage Timex strap. This isn't the main thing that I do. I think gemstones. I don't do this as a hobby. This was just a really good deal. And this is it's in Russian, so this might be one of those Soviet era watches. And the leather feels different than what you would like normally see on like a lot of the Chinese straps and stuff. So it probably is genuine. There's a lot of fake ones that I know sold on Etsy and stuff. A lot of them made in India. This one is a golfer. This is a pocket watch. It has a golfer on it. It has a couple of golfers on the back. I'm going to say that this is either a silver plate, probably. This is a decent watch, I think. So I hit the button, it opens. Yeah, it's a Maddox steel. The dollar watch it's a 17 jewel, but some of those run really well. Made in West Germany. So we know that this is at least from behind the Iron Curtain. And it's still ticking from behind, from all the way from behind the Iron Curtain. Is that good? Yeah. Alright. Yeah, it's running. And I can't tell you, I would have to look a lot more carefully because the way the markings can be hidden on these things, if this is sterling. It has the nice, large vintage ring clasps that you used to see, not the submarines from like the 30s or 20s. If you see a lobster clasp, you know it was from the early 90s or later, because that's when that really became to be. This one, someone replaced the winder on this thing, and it is, yeah, this was high quality. And to tell you what it is, I think it says maybe Pierre or Felice, and it's has jewels for sure. It's automatic, but it needs to be cleaned in there. It doesn't look like it's super damaged, but I wouldn't want to mess with it. It would take more effort and cost more than it's probably worth. This one is in really good shape. This one is very similar, but they're manufactured differently. So you can see I was just checking. This was the one that and this one even is in much better shape, and it sounds good. And it has one complication, and it is, I don't think it's Swiss. This is the Hong Kong movement, so it's a copy of that, which makes sense. So this was probably from the late 70s to late 80s, maybe around 1990. And it's a nice watch. So that's what we got on the 23 watches. Out of them, the ones that I like the most, this pocket watch. So I'm going to do like a top 5. And I hope I can get this one running. So now we're up to 4. And what would number 5 be? I know which one. Yes, this one. This has like a really good profile to it. The way the case back on it, it's not engraved, but it's made the way that you would see a lot of the not finer watches today that are thinner like that. So the quality seems to be very good. So for now, I paid about $100 for these 23 watches, and I think there's a few multiple times at least in the value of these in here for that. And that's the thing about them, you know, any watch new is going to have the same issues as it ages. And because they're made, a lot of these are made in ways that you can't replicate anymore, the value is going to be good. But yeah, so that goes for this tiring, boring, sleeping, yawning review of this lot that I purchased. And I hope everyone saw some interesting things, and it was good for you. And have a good whatever it is.